Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So happy to be back. Uh, our topic for today is seeking stability but finding chaos. Very much a hallmark of life in the material world. Sometimes it is there, stability, and sometimes it is not there. And the scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, tells us that actually it was never there. Don't remain in a fool's paradise that there could be something which will give you eternal stability. Because what happens is we look for stability, then we go towards long term stability, and finally we realize what I want is eternal stability. And many times our so called friends, followers, well wishers, they tell us that look at the good side, nobody gets the whole cake to eat. There is always a flip side to everything. So, what I am trying to propose today is to see through this incident beginning from the fourth canto, chapter 8, in the life of one tiny boy. And the incident is so, you can say, uneventful. It's an event, but it is so uneventful that you can say hardly we should take it seriously. So the story is as follows that there is a king whose name is Uttanapad, has two queens. One is named Suniti, one is named Suruchi. And it so happened that Suruchi was much more dear to the king. Now it could be that because she's younger, she's more beautiful or whatever. So both had one son. Suniti's son was Dhruva, Suruchi's son was Uttama. And they were both about 4 to 5 years old. Now just see the event. It could happen in any family room, universally. Whether it's a hut or a palace or a penthouse flat, doesn't matter at all. It could happen in an office setting where somebody is praising someone. You go into your boss's office and you find that he's saying that, oh, that one new recruit, she's so nice. I mean, this new salesman, I'm really admiring her. And immediately we start thinking, whoa, if somebody is due for promotion, what about me? And many times may not have any bearing upon our career path, but we are so intertwined, we are so connected that no matter what, we get affected. So, time and again, because most of you are in a workplace culture, so we'll try to see how it affects us today, especially in the current pandemic. Can we call it post pandemic yet? I dare not. At least in Mumbai, we cannot say the post pandemic time. So we'll say the current pandemic time. So the father has kept one son on his lap and is petting him. In Vedic culture, superiors, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, they smell the head. Now, I didn't have that experience in my life of my father smelling my head, but and it's not smelling in the sense of actually smelling like that, but just it's a it's a cultural kind of etiquette. So we find in the Ramayana and Mahabharata many times this is mentioned. So it may have lapsed due to the effect of time, but since it is there in so many Puranas and stories, it is a generally accepted etiquette. So patting his son, cuddling him, uh, obviously father-son relationship. Now the second son, Dhruva, he says, I would also like to climb on my father's lap. Anything wrong with that? Absolutely not. And the father is kind of inclined, is right, kind of ready to take his second son. And then there is this queen, Suruchi. She's standing there, and the king looks at he looks at Dhruva, looks at Suruchi, looks at Dhruva again, and is giving him a non-verbal gesture that you better not. Just stay where you are. Don't. Take home message number one. We are seeking stability. How does chaos come? Does chaos come with a big alarm sound? There's a big trumpet, or there's a big announcement that, hey, Shyamanandas, this is going to cause big chaos in your life now? No, it just comes. It's a minuscule event, a very tiny thing. And many times, even some very successful people, they are geared towards big calamities. All the books we read about managing chaos, managing change, managing crises in life, it's like whether we get cancer or whether we get hit by vehicle or financial loss or whatever, we are geared towards big events, but many times it is the smaller events which can cause great damage. So that is the first point we will dwell on. And later in our interaction, you can always bring up these things and we'll see how we can make the best use of the situation. Now, not only is Dhruva denied a simple privilege of trying to sit on his father's lap, his stepmother, she starts saying, hey, you don't deserve to sit. You know why? You may call yourself the son of the king. I don't deny that. But I am the king's favorite queen. And it's my son who's going to be the next king. Now, why tell that to somebody who's just 5, 6 years old? Generally speaking, second point here is in a situation bringing instability, you'll always have someone who is not sensitive to your needs. You'll always have someone who speaks in such a way that already there is insult. In English, they say adding insult to injury. So, first of all, we are surprised by the turn of events, and then somebody starts speaking harshly. Although it could be true, here the king is not showing any signs of trying to placate his queen by saying, shh, not so harsh. I'll try to deal with you later. Or Dhruva, you come after some time and you can sit on my lap. He's mum. He's not speaking anything. Somebody who's supposed to be your support system doesn't say anything. That also is a hallmark of a chaos. She went on, "You didn't take birth from my womb. You're not qualified. You are unaware that you are born of another lower woman. Do you understand that? Don't try to fulfill a desire which is impossible to fulfill." Now, this could be a domestic quarrel, something which may happen so many places. Why bring it in Shrimad Bhagavatam? I mean, why give it so much of an importance? Because all the characters involved here in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, you will find some characters preach, or they expound great truths through positive or negative examples. You learn to behave after seeing somebody's behavior and say that, okay, I should do like that. And then you see someone and you say, I should not do something like that. So that's why both examples are there. Also, the levels of advice given in Shrimad Bhagavatam, you need to go a little bit deeper to understand whether this is common wisdom for everyone or specialized wisdom for someone. It all is there in this particular incident, and I'll come to that. Meanwhile, Dhruva is just reeling, one shock after another. He just cannot handle himself. He just doesn't know what to do. Should I cry, shout, pick up a stone and hit her, or resign, anger, resentment, disappointment? Generally, in chaos, it's a cocktail or a mixture of all these emotions. Now, why is Suruchi's advice also special? Because she gave him a hint as to what's to be done. First of all, Dhruva, you have to satisfy the Supreme Lord Narayan. And if he's favored, if you really please him, then you may ask him to give birth in my womb. That will be your next birth. Oh, hold it. What she's saying is, you better die. Now, why would somebody be told to die just because he wants to sit on the lap of his father? So she's not exactly acting as a guru. Your spiritual teacher will tell you, my dear boy, my dear girl, just nourish your surrendering process. Krishna will take care. Here it is not like that. She's actually wishing him dead. So indirectly, she's very boastful, very cruel, but there is some good in it. That doesn't mean that what advice she gave is good. So I'm just making you alert for that. So this is Maitreya telling this story to Vidura, and he's saying that as a snake struck by a stick, how he breathes very heavily. Dhruva Maharaj was struck by the strong words of his stepmother. He was kind of hyperventilating. He looked to his father. Father didn't say anything. In anger, he left the place. He came to the place where his mother was there. His lips were trembling in anger. He was crying very grievously. Suniti, what can she do? Oh, poor mother. She immediately lifted her son on her lap. She tried to ask him that, what happened? Please tell me what happened. Dhruva is not able to tell anything. So the palace attendants and the servants, and they come and they just relate, we just heard this thing happened. Now just see the behavior of this great mother. She also was angry in the beginning. It is said that she began to burn as if in a forest fire. She became like a burnt leaf, started lamenting. And her lotus-like face filled with tears. I just learned hearing Radha Govind Maharaj's Leela. We see these words Rudan. Rudan means cry. And Vilap. Vilap also is crying. So there are tears in both these situations. But Rudan means just crying, just wailing. Vilap means you are narrating something and you are crying. I just can't handle this. I went there and my boss, he kind of accused me unfairly. It was not my fault. I may lose this job. I can't afford. I have to do this, I have to do that. Wow, 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 wow. So you are relating something and you are crying. Rudan means you are just some kind of swara is coming, but you're just there is no you're not relating any incident. So that's how. See, Sanskrit language is so rich that even for crying, there are various grades and various categories of lamenting. Now, third take home point here is you go to somebody in a chaotic situation, that person may not have a remedy. I got demoted, I lost my job, my marriage on the rocks, my co workers are plotting against me, I can't do well in my academic career. I can't get the job I want. I can't become rich the way I want. I can get this house. I can get this car. My health is so many kind of crisis situations. You go to someone as if, like you say, Prabhu, promise me I'll get this job. I may say, hey, I am in India. How can I promise you? No, 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 no. You promise me. You are like my good luck charm. Be careful. You tell somebody that I think you'll get your PhD in 2 years, and then you get it. There are two disadvantages. One is that fellow might wrongly think that whatever you say actually happens, and there is a worst thing which can happen. You might feel that, hey, I am a good luck charm for so many people. No. So you mean to say, should we just tell somebody on their face that just accept the fact that you are a lousy salesman, you are a lousy coder, or you're not that great? No. Harsh speech has to be avoided as much as possible in Kali Yuga. This 8th chapter in the beginning says, harsh speech or Drupti, she is the sister of Kali. She is so close to him that where there is this sister is there, the brother also comes. So where there is harsh speech, there is quarrel just around the bend. And therefore, things go from bad to worse. Now comes our most important take home message, and that is, how did Dhruva's mother bring stability in his life? The episode of Dhruva taking advice from his mother first and then Narad Muni is very important. Our acharyas say that reading the pastime of Dhruva gives dhravyam. Dhravyam is the adjective. Dhravyam is stability. Stability in your spiritual culture, stability in your sadhana, stability even in your material life, in your marriage, in your job, your research, whatever you are doing. Mostly we see this episode as, all right, it's there in the fourth canto and I like it. We read about Dhruva's austerities and they are not next to impossible. They're beyond impossible for you and me today. Like we had the Nirjal Ekadashi just a few days ago. I think there is one thing which I plan weeks in advance is, first of all, in the month of March itself, I look at which date of June there is this Ekadashi, and this Ekadashi is seen as the sense gratification spoiler. that wow, this Ekadashi comes on a Sunday, that means no Sunday feast. It comes on a Monday, oh my goodness. Or it comes on a Thursday, oh I have a class on Wednesday evening. So pack up some extra food on Dashmi and then somehow fast on the Ekadashi day and then give yourself a heavy feast on Dwadashi morning. So, like I'm confessing before my friends, somebody told me that, do you know something? That packing extra food on Dashmi and then fasting on Ekadashi and a heavy khichdi feast or whatever at Dwadashi morning, the average is higher than your now normal food intake. You're supposed to curtail your food intake and dovetail your attention in extra chanting, reading, or whatever. So, so this is how we can try to hoodwink the process of austerity. But still, whatever it is better to do little bit than nothing at all. But the fact is that we need to do it properly. So, seeing those austerities, we feel admiration for this young boy. I mean, how much to what length can he go? So now this is the most important take home message. So the first thing in stability, we saw the negatives so far. Now the positives begin. If you go to a bona fide counselor, a bona fide friend, a bona fide well wisher, how do you know if somebody is bona fide? This is what Bhagavatam advises. The first thing they will tell you is please don't wish anything inauspicious for others. My goodness, just see the depth of this advice. She's a queen. She's being treated like a maid servant, and I will not dwell too much on this point. But Vedic culture allowed kings to have multiple queens. Some of them could be favorites, some of them could be not, and one of them will be called the Patta Mahishi or Patta Rani, and then it would be known that her son would be the next heir. Others will not mind, normally would not mind. Some queens could be coming from very highly elevated Kshatriya families, so they would be having that stake. Some would be coming from Vaishya families or even Shudra families or even lower than that. Things have happened. It's not like Vedic culture is static and just following one particular track. Vidura is a royal born, but he's called Dasi Putra. He would never become the owner of the throne. He cannot claim ownership of the throne. But otherwise, he was given all royal comforts and he would stay in the palace. So please understand these things, subtleties when you read Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first thing a bona fide counseling session begins in Krishna conscious setting is please do not wish inauspiciousness on others. They are not the source of your inauspiciousness. Never ever think that somebody else could cause inauspiciousness to me unless it is approved by Krishna. This is Canada, Montreal. Prabhupada had gone there for some visa work. You have to stay so many days outside the United States. You apply, then you can come back. So devotees also went with him. One Bengali gentleman started coming on and off. One day while Prabhupada was speaking, he stood up and started shouting, oh my goodness, unholy obscenities at Prabhupada. You are speaking nonsense, this whole thing is nonsense. And he left in a huff. And devotees were shocked. First of all, they see one Bengali gentleman, Prabhupada, and they think every Indian is like that. In the evening, one or two of them, they opened this topic. How come? How come he insulted you like that? And Prabhupada was so calm and cheerful. And you know what Prabhupada said? I'm also surprised, but Krishna allowed it. So there must be some reason behind it. And that was the end of it. Prabhupada had that kind of a Himalayan approach towards things happening, that if I didn't deserve it, Krishna would not have allowed it. But since it happened, it means I must have insulted this Banerjee in the previous existence somewhere. Two things happen. Either the same guy causes you pain, or somebody else is used as an instrument. Like somebody steals a t-shirt from Walmart and is caught in the CCTV. So either the people there, they beat him up or give him some thrashing, or somebody commits fraud and is caught later by the police and they give him a thrashing. So you can't say to the police that since I didn't cause you any financial loss, let that fellow come and beat me up. No. Either the person or somebody is used by Daiva, by providence, as an instrument. And Suniti is giving a big antidote for that. Don't wish inauspiciousness to others. By others, she's meaning your own stepmother. Then what do I do? She says that, first of all, what she has said is true. Your father does not consider me his wife or even his maid servant. He feels ashamed to accept me. So you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and being fed the breast milk of her, you have grown up. Your father didn't do anything. The second point of taking good advice in chaos is that counselor or that spiritual authority teaches you to see the good in the bad. Seeing the good in the bad is one great antidote for heartburn. Just see, if not for Prabhupada, we would have never known it. Prabhupada didn't like the wife he had. Do you know when you read Lilamrit, Prabhupada said, I didn't really like her. I just accepted her because the family said so. And he went to his father and said, I would like to take a second one. Completely acceptable, by the way, in 1920s Bengali culture. Prabhupada came from a rich jeweler family, Suvarna Vanik. Now, he was not a jeweler, but they came from that good lineage. So, second wife was not an impossibility. And his ever well-wisher, Prabhupada is our ever well-wisher. Prabhupada's ever well-wisher is his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, telling him, think about it. I'm not opposed to your idea, but because you're not so attached, it will be good for you later. And Prabhupada said, so this is my father. He would never kind of brush me aside or shoot my suggestion, but would always tell me to see the good in something. I was so happy when I could find that Prabhupada offered his whole Krishna book to his father. If you read the offering page, to my father Gaur Mohan Dey, a pure devotee of Krishna. Now, Gaur Mohan Dey did not open temples, give classes, or initiate disciples. But he gave so much of loving care and attention which Prabhupada deserved. So Suniti also is doing the same thing. My dear boy, what she has said is very harsh, but it is factual. Now comes the stability part. Now, stability also doesn't begin with like a bed of roses. Along with stability in chaos comes the part of austerity which you have to perform. So she's saying, first of all, give up your envious attitude and try to execute the good thing which your stepmother has said. What is that good thing? Without delay, engage yourself in worshipping the Supreme Lord. And then she starts describing that your great grandfather, Lord Brahma, you are asking for wealth. Who can be more wealthy than Lord Brahma? He became that much wealthy by worshipping Supreme Lord. Then your grandfather, Swayambhava Manu, he was a great, wise person, but with performance of sacrifices, with charity, unflinching faith and devotion, he worshipped and satisfied Krishna. That is the way to achieve greatest success. I'll repeat this. This is so important that with charity, since all of you are either grihasthas or trying to become, the hallmark of your grihastha life has to be charity. Pro rata, not that everybody has to give $1,000 every month, but fix some percentage as tiny as 2%, 3%, 5%. Then, with faith and devotion, worship Krishna. And Suniti is guaranteeing it. Acting in that way, you can achieve the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards liberation from material entanglement. We will finish off the last point. This is a big chapter. I'm currently hearing it. I'm planning to hear it twice. Radha Govind Maharaj's insights are so valuable. So, the crowning glory of achieving stability is now Suniti is telling her son, my dear boy, take shelter of Krishna. He is very kind to his devotees. People seeking liberation from the cycle of birth and death, they take shelter of Krishna. Becoming purified by doing your allotted occupation. Situate the Lord in your heart and always engage in his service. I cannot find anyone who can help you apart from Krishna. Demigods like Brahma, they seek the pleasure of the goddess of fortune. But the goddess of fortune is always ready to render service to the Lord. So, Dhruva Maharaj, he asked his mother for blessings. Please bless my efforts, mother. And as a mother, why would she ever deny anything? Now we just don't have time. I'm tempted to speak more, but I just would like have some interaction. Later, maybe next monthly thing or something, we will see the. We have completed this loop from chaos to stability. But then what we have to do in stability could be our next session. He meets Narad Muni. How does he meet Narad Muni? Where does Narad Muni come in the picture now? But this universe is connected. Anyone, anywhere, you want help, especially on the path of serving Krishna, there is one person who is always alert to everybody's needs. Seems like Narad Muni has his ear to the ground and he's always, imagine there is no stricture that he can go to this planet or that planet. He can go to demons' houses. He visits Kamsa in his house. So Narad Muni comes everywhere. Narad Muni came to 22nd Avenue. Well, not exactly 22nd, but he visited Manhattan. There was a hall and Prabhupada had a class and devotees thought, well, it's Krishna consciousness, so we will give it free of charge. So they said, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami speaking here in this particular hall. I don't know which hall. I'm very curious which one it could be. It had a capacity for about 200. 8 people came. And Prabhupada blasted the organizers. He said, this is New York. Free means cheap and useless. You should have charged $2 entrance fee. Prabhupada is teaching Americans you have to charge $2 entrance fee. And then they would have thought that Bhaktivedanta Swami is saying something which is valuable. So they learned their lesson. And at the second level, somebody actually said that Swamiji, were you upset that not many people turned up for the program? And Prabhupada said, oh no, Narad Muni was there. And devotee is like, wow, our Swamiji's, our Swamiji belongs to that category that when he has a satsang, Narad Muni comes. My goodness. So Prabhupada balanced it. There is a material understanding of organizing. I'm relating that with 1975 Rath Yatra, permission granted on 5th Avenue. Hare Krishna is bona fide religion. The New York Circuit Court certifies that. And Prabhupada is all smiles, all happy, happy, happy. He said, now my mission is established. And then Prabhupada said, how was the Rath Yatra? Oh, grand. 5th Avenue was practically closed for us. And we had a question answer booth, we had dramas, we gave prasad, we distributed books. And one devotee said, we also sold luglus, little bit softball, golf ball size sweets made from dry fruit. And New Yorkers purchased them $1 a piece. And Prabhupada said, we want to give them prasad. Not only they are accepting it, but they are paying for it. Great. I love this city. This city has always supported me. So, not that New York is great for all of us. It is still the greed capital of the world and whatever it is. But this is how a Mahabhagavat Uttamadhikari sees things. He appreciates things which we can't even see there is any appreciation here. But so this is how Narad Muni is in our parampara, in our lineage. And so this was a small presentation from chaos to stability. I will stop here. Thank you all very much for being such a kind and patient audience. Tantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we have some time for reflections, questions, comments, discussion, whatever.
If anybody has any questions, please feel free to raise your hands or just unmute and speak. We have a small.
Prabhuji, just a small question. I just want to know if this inference is a valid one. I'd heard somewhere that so Suruchi and Suniti and Uttanpad, right? So Suruchi represents Ruchi, like things that we like, and Suniti represents Niti, things that we are supposed to do, like the Niti, discipline or whatever. So when our focus goes more on Suruchi, on Ruchi, than on Niti, then it becomes a problem. So is it like a bona fide interpretation of this pastime, or?
Prabhu, this comes in the category of Utpreksha. Utpreksha is a bona fide exercise. I'll give you a bona fide example of that. Rukmini is described as Padma Lochana or Rajiva Lochana, which means she's lotus-eyed. So which means only her eyes are beautiful, not her nose, not her face, not her hands. Krishna is called Padma Pani, lotus-like hands. Pankaj Angri, lotus feet. So from one particular thing, you can say that no. All his limbs are beautiful, perfectly formed. Although not described, you can make a generalized understanding. So this is one thing. I'm talking of one level. Then with the names, Suniti, Suruchi, I haven't seen Prabhupada mentioning it, nor other acharyas. But there are also other non-Gaudiya acharyas like we have the Rudra Sampradaya, where we have Vallabhacharya, his comments, Veer Raghav Acharya, his Sri Sampradaya comments. So if other acharyas have mentioned it somewhere, then it becomes the second level of accepting something. The third is general common sense. If you like what you do, like if there is medicine and food, you don't like medicine because it is bitter, but you need to take it. So if it is connected with morality and just likes and dislikes. So always give morality precedence over the likes and dislikes. That's just common sense. So these are the three ways of looking at things. I'll repeat. First of all, it is straight from scripture. From one, you can understand 10 or 12 different things. Secondly, some other acharyas who may not have a link with our lineage, but they have said something, and then we accept that as bona fide. Third is just seeing whether, well, this thing, morality should be given importance. This was only possible in the previous age. No, even today also it is important. So just use common sense and you can understand how they work.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. I just wanted to verify that it's not one of those things that some of these Bhagavad Gita interpreters say that, oh, the Kurukshetra is the body and Pandavas are the five senses. Prabhupada actually criticizes that interpretation. He says that
See,
is,
Prabhupada has Prabhupada has allowed interpretation only when the original meaning is unclear.
hmm, yeah.
Shamanandas wants water. So you may say, okay, Shamanandas means Sham means this, Ananda means that, and he's Das, and he says, hell, just bring one glass of water. What's the question of interpretation here? No, but last time he came, he liked milk. He liked milkshake. So better we give him milkshake. No, I am thirsty. Now that could mean I need some clarification. Would you like some hot tea or some cold milk or this or that? So Krishna says, surrender unto me. How can there be any interpretation in that? Our Shastra says, Gangayam Ghoshapalli, the village of cowherds on the river Ganga. So on the river Ganga means basically on the bank of the Ganga, not that the river, the village is established on the waters of Ganga. So interpretation is a healthy sign of understanding scripture, but in Kali Yuga, a lot of mischief can be caused by just interpretation. And sometimes we see preachers, they take it as a hobby that if you tell the direct thing, people are not so interested. So what about giving something, some inference, something more, something more, something more, and then you are entering into a slippery slope, and you don't even know where you may go. So then Kurukshetra becomes Kuru means do, which means the body, Pandavas means the five senses, and in the Ras Leela, Ras means the dance of the desires, and gopis are unlimited, so gopis are like desires. Krishna is the Paramatma. There is one fellow, one king, and he was kind of apologizing on behalf of Krishna that please do not call Krishna a debauchee, we don't call Krishna unethical, immoral. The gopis are not real people, and Krishna is not that, a village boy who just wants to dance around with young girls. And Prabhupada wrote a letter saying that, please, if you don't have the wisdom, don't try to defend Krishna. There are better people than you who can do that. It's like surgery is needed on your wrist, but there is no surgeon available. But somebody says, oh, Jitendra Prabhu, I love you so much. I just read something about surgery. I saw a YouTube video. Let me do that. You may say, please, no. It is a serious matter. The cut is there, but I'll wait for an hour before a bona fide surgeon comes in. So this is that we have to be a little bit alert. Thank you for bringing this point.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. It was an amazing class. Prabhu, you mentioned Dhruv Maharaj's pastime. I think the Falashruti is it gives Drauvyam, if I got it
Yes.
correctly.
Yes.
Uh, so, and I think you said it means stability in our life.
Yes.
So, Prabhu, what kind of stability should a devotee aspire for? We hear that material stability, though at one level it is required, we don't make that as our goal because then it could trap us in this material world. So what kind of stability should we aspire for? Stability in our sadhana or in our services? Any suggestions, Prabhu?
Yes, that's what is hinted for sadhakas like you and me. We may begin with a sankalpa. We may begin with a idea that I should improve my reading from 15 minutes a day to about half an hour or whatever. By again and again reading Dhruva's pastime, the Falashruti promises that this will help you perform that particular sadhana, that particular practice in a much more stable way. Now, stability means sometimes you may not have time, but not getting time for doing something and feeling demoralized is also anti stability. So sometimes people start something and then they give up because they don't have time, inclination, stamina, whatever. And after some time, like this, this New Year resolutions, after planning for 5 years, you say this year the resolution is no more resolutions. Why? Because nothing works for me. No, as they say, it may not. You may not get gold every time, but you may get silver. You may not get silver. At least you'll get bronze. If you don't get bronze, at least in some aspects of your life, at least you participated. Sometimes you don't participate. At least you are cheering. You're sitting as a spectator. So life has all these flavors, and we need to take that in our stride. But having the mercy of Dhruva Maharaj helps us get that one small dose of that stability active agent, and that kind of helps. Imagine the importance of this pastime. Gadadhar Pandit is Radharani. She is the speaker as Gadadhar Pandit. Krishna as Chaitanya, as Gauranga, is the listener. And what he tells him to recite, tell me about Dhruva. How many times? Hundreds of times. Again and again and again, Radha and Krishna are engaged in hearing Dhruva Maharaj's pastimes. What to speak of you and me, how much we need it more than them. So, yes, it gives stability in our sankalpas, in our resolutions, in whatever we decide to do.
So, Prabhu, should we specifically beg for Dhruv Maharaj's mercy in this context? And
Maitreya Muni says just read it whenever you have time. You can glance over the translations, you can read purports, you can hear it, whatever way. There is no fixed routine or something.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
If no one else has a question, I have a question, Prabhu. So you mentioned, so Gaur Mohan De mentioned to Srila Prabhupada that because you're not so attached, it will help you later. So my question is, so also we see in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, in the 64 items of devotional service, cultivation of Vairagya is not mentioned. So this detachment is not mentioned. So should we be detached a little bit in certain things so that it will help us later? Or should we just engage and use whatever we have in the service of Krishna? And how do we draw the line? When to be detached? When to cultivate? I mean, should we even cultivate Vairagya a little bit? Yeah.
Very good point. You are right. Vairagya is not seen as a building block of bhakti. Rather, attachment to devotees, attachment to the holy name, attachment to hearing Bhagavatam. The acharyas keep on praying, let my attachment, uh, Kunti Devi prays, oh Krishna, let my attachment flow towards your lotus feet like the flow of the Ganga. So you are right. Detachment is mentioned in Bhagavatam in an indirect way. that janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam cha yad ahetukam, that even though without having any plan, proper reading of Shrimad Bhagavatam will bestow knowledge and detachment upon the reader. So, what is the basic detachment which you and me are cultivating now? That at least we should be free from the four major yatra dharmas chaturvidha, the four pillars of adharma. Detachment from them is a conducive thing. We also have, have a positive approach of cultivating mercy, cultivating cleanliness, cultivating truthfulness, cultivating austerity. So these are the four pillars of dharma. There are also the four pillars of adharma: meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. So detachment from them is a healthy outcome. That's what we need. Next, we come to those things of don't be attached to your wife, kids, husband, job, status in life, or whatever. Look at this king, look at that king. That has to be taken with a cautious attitude. Somebody who is newly married, and in case they husband wife don't get along, and if one party says that I'm cultivating detachment, that's not true. That's not proper. I was surprised when Krishna Chandra Prabhu gave me a book and says that I have bought many copies and we are giving it to our congregation devotees. It's written by a Christian pastor. Five love languages. Anybody heard of it? Yeah. Now he's not making us Christian by having that book. He's just giving us common sense that in these difficult times, for those who want to become householders, at least become proper householders. If you are building a ship and going on a voyage, at least use proper materials for making a ship. Don't use substandard materials and then claim that, oh, I'm detached anyway. No, you're not. You're simply frustrated or you're angry. And your attachment may come in a much more vehement and stubborn way later. There's an example given by Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. A Brahmana got some puffed rice. It's called khoi or lahi in Marathi, or khoi, sorry. And he was carrying it in a cloth bag, not a bag actually, just a piece of cloth. And merrily coming to his village and saying that, okay, I'll tell my wife to roast it a little bit, put some ripe mangoes and then some camphor and some rock salt, and it could be very tasty. At that moment, he stumbled on a rock. He fell flat on his face. The cloth opened. A big gust of wind came and blew away all the puffed rice which he had. He saw, to his horror, the whole thing being carried by the wind. And immediately he took his Brahmin thread, made it three times, and says, Keshavanma, Vamananma, Narayanma, Govindanma, let this be an offering to Lord Keshava, to Narayan, to Vaman. They say, hey, wait a minute. When you got it, there was no Keshava and Vaman and Narayan. While carrying it, there was no Keshava and Narayan. While you were having it, it was only how I will eat it. This is my favorite breakfast food. Now that you can't have it, suddenly you are telling Krishna, you have it. So, there is a time for attachment, serious attachment. Somebody has built a temple, whether it's a brahmachari, sannyasi, vanaprasthi, whoever. You have to be attached to seeing that it is properly set. Prabhupada is in Nairobi and is not getting rest. And the secretary is saying, why Prabhupada? I mean, why you look so drawn out? He said, there is someone stealing bricks in Juhu. I just got a telegram that people are stealing my material. How can I sleep? So do you mean to say that Prabhupada was attached to bricks of all things? No. He was teaching responsibility. So The common fallacies, at least what I have seen, is there is frustration, but it is given the label detachment. There is responsibility, and avoidance of responsibility is called detachment. You may be blamed for something, but to avoid that, you call I am detached. No. Fulfill the dictate given to you, fulfill your mandate, verify your sentiments from a bona fide authority that Prabhu, this is how me and my wife or me and my husband are going through. If I do this, will it be called detachment? They say no, that's not detachment. So you should understand that Krishna is speaking through this person. If I invest my money right now and there is this scheme, will it be called greed? Get a confirmation. So with everything in life, we depend upon good counsel, we depend upon good advice. We also use our own common sense. It's like with every good advice, our common sense also should be boosted. That's the purpose of getting good advice. You're not totally dependent, you're not totally independent. It is interdependence. And what good advice you get, you pass it on to others. So this is how detachment and attachment can be balanced. So Prabhupada gave up one family because not that he didn't give them chance, he gave them so many chances. And then he made a bigger family, and then he was very attached. He had 7,500 disciples. But read Leelamrit carefully and you will find actually this whole enterprise was to make one person a devotee. Now I am simply amazed at Prabhupada's stance that this was whole thing was to make one person a devotee. But Krishna is so kind, he has given me thousands. I am very grateful. So these are some thoughts, Prabhu.
Wonderful, Prabhuji. Do you have some time, Prabhu, to take a couple more questions?
Oh, yeah.
So Vishal Prabhu has a question. After that, Athena Mataji has a couple of questions. Vishal Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. How
Hare
are you
Krishna.
doing? My
I'm
first
doing
question.
good.
Yeah, I really miss you a lot, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Your love.
like I really love the class. Totally like absorbed the way I'm thinking. First time I'm hearing this Dhruva pastime in that way. So my first question is, Prabhuji, that you mentioned that if some inauspiciousness that comes to us, and if I do not deserve it, then Krishna won't allow it. But since Krishna has sanctioned it, then I deserve it. So I wanted to know that, say in family dealings with family members or at work or with friends, if someone like misbehaves or disrespects or something happens, so then how we deal with it later on. Like first time we can say that it is like Krishna's will and it is Krishna's sanction that I deserve it and it has come over me. But then when we have to deal with them again, then how to get rid of that, how not to blame them again and get over it.
Good question. You see, in my daily life, the simplest understanding is I am sitting on a bench, there's a big bench in my favorite park, that favorite corner, and there are four other elderly gentlemen sitting in front of me, and there is a crow up there, and he decides to relieve himself, and it falls only on my shoulder. Now, I could have said that there is so much of wind blowing, it could have gone on this gentleman or that one or that one or that one. It could have fallen in between the two benches. Why me? So you have to understand, Baba, you have been chosen for this particular thing. Now, is the crow my enemy? No. Is the wind my enemy? No. Two, three times it happened that I sat on the bench and I got this dropping. But two, three times it also happened, I got off and it fell. So is that my lucky day that, I just barely missed it? So this is in daily course of events. This kind of auspicious is inauspicious. And by the way, someone told me that if a bird droppings on your body, it's considered you'll get money. I haven't got so far any noticeable thing, but and I don't take lottery also, but I hope someday I will get it. The sigma total of all the droppings I have suffered from these crows and pigeons at Firoz Shah Mehta Garden. Okay, humor apart, mistreatment, or how do I put it? Misbehavior on part of loved ones, family people, or whatever, that doesn't come in this category. For them, you have to use the principle Prabhupada advice: cheat me once, shame on you. Cheat me twice, shame on me. It could be with money lent to somebody, it could be with some favors given to somebody, and one person, he, she, they, whoever, if they repeat that behavior, then you need to protect yourself. Then it cannot be that, no, okay, Haribol, I am chanting 16 rounds, I am available for any mistreatment. This is my coat, I have removed it, this is my back. So lash me any number of times you want. No, devotees don't do like that. It's not like by accepting misbehavior of others that we progress. Our principle is we don't misbehave and we stay away from children, co-workers. So then we have to do some adjustment. So because I don't know the exact thing, that could be something which is a general statement that don't encourage misbehavior. But if there is something very specific, then we need to kind of sit and sort it out.
So in the past time, Prabhuji, like how Dhruva Maharaj handled when he came back and how he dealt with Suruchi.
Oh, you're asking the later part. So he goes to to the forest. Narad Muni tests him first. He performs very great austerities. Lord Narayan gives him darshan, and then he says, "I don't want the kingdom." And Narayana says, "No, no, no, Baba, take it." "No, no, 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 I'm happy." He says, "No, if you don't take it, people will feel that when you worship Narayan with some motive, then Narayan gives you, and you're supposed to say, 'No, I don't want it.' That would be bad publicity. I want that people should feel that when you come to me, I give you more than what you deserve." So then, fully happy, fully blessed, he comes home. His father is very morose. "Oh my goodness, just for the sake of a woman, I left my tender son in the forest." But then again, Narad Muni tells him that, "Don't worry, king, your son is safe. He's an exalted devotee now. Dhruva Maharaj has rules over this kingdom. He's good friends with his brother. His good friends, he patches up with his stepmother. And then Uttama is killed by one yaksha. And Dhruva Maharaj goes and kills millions of yakshas. He's so angry. And Brahma and Swayambhu Manu come and say, "Stop, stop, stop, enough, enough. Your anger is going beyond a particular limit." So Dhruva Maharaj said, "Okay." And then when the time for Dhruva Maharaj comes to leave his body, a Vaikuntha plane comes in, attendants come out and say, "Maharaj, please step on this plane. It's your your right to go back to Vaikuntha." And he says, "Wait a minute, I can't." "Why?" "The whole thing began with my mother guiding me." And they say, "Well, we have been told that your mother need not do any separate austerity or penance. Because she guided you, her plane is already on the way. Just look at this direction. Look in this direction. That plane is your mother being taken back to Godhead." Only then Dhruva Maharaj agrees that, "All right, then I can come." So it is a very auspicious ending, this whole episode.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. There is one chat question. Sorry, Prabhuji, need to drop off early. Beautiful session today. I grew up listening to the story of Dhruva Maharaj, Buddhist in Devtala the Katha, and the concept of stability, such a deep concept. You explain simple words. Thank you so much for this class. Looking forward for the next class. Shreya Mataji, she had to drop off, so it's okay. Thank you for your kind words.
So Athena Mataji has a couple of questions.
Yes, yes.
Hare Krishna Shyamananda Prabhu. Dandava
Hare
pranams.
Krishna, Athena, how are you?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for offering your time in such a wonderful class. Funnily, if we have time, and your answers are always very
Oh, sure,
elaborate.
sure.
Oh, thank you. Well, I always have a long list, and I was gonna say I unfortunately missed your recent Srimad Bhagavatam class for Bhakti Center, so I heard the recording, and I had some questions from there. So if there was time, I would ask those, but I can stick to even from this past time, Dhruva Maharaj. To start, I really loved the question that Vishal Prabhu had asked, and that seems to be a very deep discussion that I've had that I haven't with say other people practicing different faiths, and I haven't heard a concrete answer from anyone from our path to give, I don't want to say a satisfying answer, but a very thorough answer. And this concept, take a few steps back, and while I don't want to completely say everything's packaged just to karma, it's interesting that perhaps the Abrahamic religions believe that everything within Hinduism just boils down to karma. Something bad happened to you, it's karma. Oh, you deserve this. And my initial reaction was no. We believe there's a supreme person of Godhead, and when you take to God, then God takes his personal hand in your life. So yes, he might allow certain things to happen in your life, give you the karma that you deserve. But if you take the concept that first, all of us here could arguably say that we've taken to some sort of God consciousness in our past lives. And so it didn't start just in this lifetime, the moment that we took to bhakti yoga. And I can personally say in my life when I was young, I saw a divine hand in certain freak accidents or whatever it was. So God was in my life even before I even was conscious of him and took to a specific path. And then so we've known God, or God has had his hand in our lives lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, if we've taken to any sort of path previously. And then if you take the concept that we fell, then we were always pure devotees. And then God is always, in one sense, will be looking after us, even when we're in this material world, whether or not we're conscious of him yet in a life to take to a spiritual path. And so if we go from that basis, could there be something more than just karma? So when inauspicious just happens in our lives, could there be something more than just that we deserve this? And if you take the example, well, one, if you look at pure devotees, the Pandavas, so many calamities, Srila Prabhupada, he allows these calamities to happen. And the Abrahamic faith would say, well, God knows exactly that you could handle this, and perhaps it serves a purpose in the future for something you're supposed to do or learn from. And when I asked this question, for example, of all these calamities, well, they're pure devotees, is it just karma? And the answer that I've received is, well, these are all leelas, they're pure devotees. But when Krishna has a will and we are part of that execution, then is that not also a leela? And so everything happening in our lives is part Krishna designing, and it's not just karma. Whether or not you're actually taking a specific path, Krishna can use people who are just good Samaritans, whatever it is part of his will and is part of his mission. And just to another point, I apologize, it's a very long discussion, but if you were to say that the souls are pure, and perhaps you see very pure people in their lives, and if you were to have gotten your astrology read, or even hear that you're in contact with a very pure soul, and this soul has faced, for example, some what you would have thought karmically very bad things happen. For example, I know in Indian culture, even Asian culture, say parents are very strict, and maybe harsh discipline could even be on the side of child abuse and have very bad consequences to the psychological effects on these children. And so could you, I mean, it seems so horrible, and I'm not saying from you can coin it as we're being sentimental, we just don't want to accept that it's karma and we deserve it. But if you would say that this soul is pure, and perhaps the mother was in ignorance and something overtook her, and that's how the Abrahamic religions would say, oh, the devil or Satan, this entity maybe affected this person. It's not just karma. There was an entity that influenced them. The mother was under ignorance, maybe under rajas, so much stress, can't handle it, and allowed something to take her over, or was also affected by, say, an entity like Satan to inflict this pain on, say, onto a child. I guess my point is, from our perspective, things seem to be boiled down to everything in this world is karma, and we understand that that is a law of the material universe, karma. But we also know Krishna will have a hand in his life. But so the question is, well, doesn't Krishna have his hand in his life in almost all souls? Given that we, even us today, we before we even took to spirituality, we could see God having a hand in our lives. We've took to God consciousness somewhat in our past lives, so we're even in this lifetime, he has a hand. Are we not all executing leelas for him, even if we're not pure devotees in this lifetime yet? I apologize. I'm trying to summarize, but in general, there seems to be that there be something more than just karma for such inauspiciousness, and we see them in even the pure devotees, the Pandavas, Srila Prabhupada, and I guess for me, and maybe that's just the answer, it's not satisfying to just think, well, only Krishna allows this to happen to his purest devotees for his leelas. We're all pure devotees if you believe that we fell, and we're all executing leelas. So it can't just be karma. But please, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please don't worry. In our classes, you can even go longer than this. Don't worry about some subject matter becoming a little bit more intricate or deep, or either of them or both. First of all, what does the Bhagavad Gita talk about understanding karma? Karmano yapi bodhavyam, vikarmanascha bodhavyam, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gatihi. Oh Arjuna, a spiritual seeker should try to understand karmana, what is karma. Then what is vikarma? Vikarmanascha bodhavyam. Akarmanascha bodhavyam. What is akarma? Because gahana karmano gati. It's very intricate. So I'll tell you something which has satisfied me. These are the things which have satisfied me. I'm walking on the street. I slip on a banana skin. I'm giving an Indian example. Plenty of banana skins on Indian roads. Or you may get a snow example in New York. There is snow and you slip. So the banana skin is there, right there, to show me that this is the one which has caused my fall. Okay. So here, the cause is visible, and because I slipped, I have a trauma, my back is paining, that also visible. What if I get malaria? And I want to find out which one of the mosquitoes bit me so that I can get even, I can thrash him or I can kill him or whatever. That's not impossible, it is more than impossible. So many times you don't know who has caused something. But a doctor tells me that you're having shivering, you're having high fever, this is malaria. Let me take a blood test. Oh, it is 100% malaria. Now you take this 3-day medicine course and I'm okay. So sometimes it is easy, sometimes it is possible after some effort, and sometimes it is not possible to understand at all. Now, what is this about? Which are the things which are simply not, we are not able to understand at all? One of them is, how did I come in this material world? If I'm a pure devotee, I should not be here. But I'm here. That means I'm not a pure devotee. But then I'm part of Krishna, so I am to be pure. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. The fact is that I am in this material world. Now, there are some philosophers in India who say that you're not fallen. You think you're fallen, that's an illusion. You are free. If I'm free, then why can't the freedom come to me? I'm not free. One devotee left the moment, grew long hair, became a musician. He was a sannyasi before. Then came to meet Prabhupada to show him that, this is my new lifestyle and I'm quite happy with that. And Prabhupada said, what exactly are you feeling that you were not feeling before when you were with us? He said, oh, I'm free. And Prabhupada said, free? Free not to grow old? Free not to get diseased? Free not to die? He said, well, I'm not looking for that kind of freedom. The freedom I am having is good enough for me. So Prabhupada didn't argue with him because he was not seeing the way the teachings were kind of guiding that person. Now comes to your point of how come that the Pandavas suffered, Prahlad suffered, Kunti suffered, Draupadi suffered. Well, some people say that suffering is not suffering. No, it is. There is something called mind over matter. And it's not possible for everybody. But at a particular high level of purity, even though the pain is there, you know where the pain comes from. And therefore, it is not pain for you at least. Thakur Bhaktivinoda prays, my Lord, all the pain and suffering which I get in the course of trying to serve you will be the source of happiness for me. He can say that, you and me cannot. Or you and me can say it only. So, your next point was, what did we do to deserve this? In one sense, being part of Krishna, we deserve to be with him. Another sense, because we have given up his service, we don't deserve to come back. That's why it is called causeless mercy. We exercise our free will and therefore we are here. Like a mouse exercising his free will decides to go for the cheese which glows in the dark or whatever, and once he is trapped, now his free will is no more. He may say, all right, I made a mistake, let me out. No. Unless you, a human being, intervene and lift that trap door, that mouse simply cannot come out. So, coming in this material world is free will. Going out of this material world is not just free will. It is free will plus causeless mercy. And that causeless mercy is called causeless because we don't deserve it. You may say, but doesn't Krishna love us? Of course he does. That's why he takes avatar. That's why he sends pure devotees. That's why he sends scriptures. So his love is there. But we also need purification. So the part we resent is the purification part because of our long association with matter. Did it ever come across to you that somebody found a wallet on First Avenue? It has $25,000 cash. And this person is shouting, this is nonsense. This doesn't make sense. I don't deserve $25,000. No. If he slips on the snow and breaks his hip bone, then he says, oh, I don't deserve this. So people say, why there are bad events in this world? Doesn't make sense. The world is not fair. Have you ever found somebody, why there are so good events in this world? Why so many good things are happening in my life? I'm coming from India, I'm coming from Africa, and here I am in NYU, and I'm a graduate, and why did I get a job? There are 16 million jobless in America right now. I don't deserve a job. Krishna, you're not fair. We don't say that. We only say, I deserve a promotion. Why didn't I get a promotion? The world is not fair. So good and bad things come in the relative concept. So first of all, I'll recapitulate everything. Karma is a very intricate affair. If you want to crack the code, it takes a lot of time. You need to learn the code and then learn to crack it. And our life is very short. So we take inferences, we take general guidelines. That's why we need authority, we need Vaishnavas to help us. So if somebody says, this is just your karma, get over it. One couple, many years ago, now that boy is grown up. So they had two boys. One would sleep during the day, one would only sleep during the night, which means there would be one who would keep them awake in the day and one would keep them awake at night. And God, when I saw both of these parents, this was about 17 years ago, they're both very nice, sweet grown-up kids now. Both parents would have like swollen eyes, totally bereft of any energy, and they say, God, I don't know what we did. I mean, we love these boys, but then look at them. And one was 1.5 years old, and when Mataji got the second one, sometimes it happens. Two siblings are, they like, there's not much of a gap between them. So their spiritual master advised them, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. It is simply your karma. Now, how can you find third party to be blamed for your kids? They're your kids. And then he said, it's just a matter of few months. It will get over. Sometimes I tell this Prabhu, do you remember? He said, well, not really. It was serious at that time. So parental grievances or other things, there is so much of love already, and little tiny pinpricks here and there. After some time heals. So for most of us, time is the healing factor for karmic kind of afflictions. But that's not very reliable. We need to use our brain, purified brains with bhakti. That's the only way we can bounce back, or gallop over a karmic obstacle. Karmic obstacle remains obstacle till we see it as an obstacle. Like a exam could be seen as a big irritant when you are trying to celebrate with your friends. But then that irritant could pave the way for a good career. So we need guidance to look at things which may appear bad, but later actually prove to be beneficial. Last point is, they say Dasharath, because of his mistake, he got this karma. But that is just a very superficial understanding of the karma thing. I was reading the Ramayana where after Ram killed Ravana, Dasharath came down. So Dasharath is not dead and gone. He came from the spiritual existence and he was happy seeing Ram back again in Ayodhya. So these are some things. I know I haven't touched all the points, but I tried my best.
Thank you much. Thank you so much, Shyamananda Prabhu. No,
We will
you
do one thing. We can continue with this discussion. Maybe even if you are willing, we can have a one-on-one session just for. I'm happy to see you trying to understand this intricate concept. I also struggled with it. We all struggle. But let me know if these doubts still linger, and we can. Right now, in our present situation, we are not able to put so much time, but later we can have some kind of a session.
Thank you so much. I would really love that. I also am mindful of other people's time, as I had a few other questions, even regarding your Srimad Bhagavatam class. I'll just comment. I guess it's interesting, and I don't expect people or acharyas, teachers within our faith to immediately be able to address the Abrahamic side, because it just doesn't show up in our Shastra. And we can, in one say, everything in Shastra we believe, but there could be more. It's impossible to think that all Vedic literature can even encompass all the wisdom and all the knowledge in all of Krishna's creation. And a very nice devotee, I think it was last week, said that what we read, say the Upanishads, the Itihasas, the Puranas, the four Vedas, that only represents 5.6% of all all Vedic literature. So there's just so
True.
much information. And while what you said does resonate with me, and I can understand from our perspective, because that we and I have asked this, and the answer that I consistently get, which I understand, is that karma is very intricate, and karma is still with the loving hand. It's Krishna's disciplinary arm. We can't, it's so we can't understand it, and it's all for our good. But I guess I'm just curious, and perhaps those, especially in our path, because it's not something we've analyzed, it's not something that shows up in our
Okay, I'll
shastra.
leave you with this. Karma wisdom is like an ocean. You bring a spoon, the ocean will fill it up. You bring a tumbler, the ocean will fill it up. You bring a super tanker, 25,000 gallon capacity, the ocean will fill it up. So when we say it is difficult to understand, it is not difficult from the universe's point of view to convince you. The universe can give you, but how big a receptacle is your personality? So you expand your possibilities and the answers will flow in.
Thank you. I apologize. What I meant was, I never heard anyone from our path be able to address say the Satan aspect being affected, and that there could be a possibility, because if you believe that the other paths are bona fide and that their source is also pure, then what they're doing is offering information that hasn't been included in our shastra. And if we again believe that their path is bona fide, then their information is also bona fide. So there is an entity, and I would almost venture to say, perhaps we like to say it's Maya, it's Durga, whatever it is, but there's an entity that causes, say, that influences jivas to do bad things, and it's not just karma. So what I meant was, the answer I always hear is an explanation of karma, which I absolutely understand, but there doesn't seem to be anything to address their thoughts about this potential entity. That could there be something more? And what I'm saying is, I guess I don't expect that, because we like to cite sources, and there's nothing within our shastra that talks about that. And what it does is it lends to just more rumination, and perhaps just more digging and realization, and praying to Krishna to just reveal, because while you can only hope that our limited minds could understand these inconceivable concepts, we'd like to always try to make sense, given that if we believe A and we believe B, then how do we reconcile the two? So it gives me just more things to think about. But thank you so much. I did have other
We will
questions.
discuss later. We can link up some other time. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. And I love to your offers to prick your brain more on some more questions. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. You're welcome.
So one last thing, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So last time when you were here, Vinay Prabhu and Sindhu Kanya Mataji were going to get married. Now they're happily.
I saw their pictures.
Yeah, and both of them are here. So.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
All the very best to both of you. I hope everything went well.
Yes.
Both of your parents had come?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, very good, very good.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your blessings and your wishes.
All that I have is yours. Vinay Prabhu has been such a good friend and a big support for our New York preaching program, and now he's got you in his life. He's doubly blessed. So please continue to serve in Srila Prabhupada's mission in whatever capacity you both of you can, and help others become exemplary as much as possible to other grihasthas. Take help from good grihasthas and be a good grihastha, and help others become good grihasthas. That's the three things every couple can do. And you have Gaur Kumar Prabhu here. I'm sure you must be having your own support group there in California. So all the very best to both of you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you.
And we'll be missing you in this Vrindavan Yatra. So I wish you could have been there physically.
Let's hope by 2022 end, I think things could become a bit stable. Hoping for that.
So we are all going, Prabhu, to New Vrindavan on September 3rd.
Okay.
Almost 20 devotees have signed up this time.
Wow.
Yes, so we're going to miss you so much. So
September is like thaw period, no snow.
No,
No,
Prabhu.
I mean, obviously, oh, no. September means not even beginning of winter, right?
Beginning of fall. Yeah.
Early winter. Okay.
Yes. Early winter. Yes, Prabhu. So yes, Prabhu.
Will you be driving in that big Ford?
Yes, Prabhu. We booked a van. Yeah, the same van that we go every year. Yes. And
Who was that Prabhu who came from Dakota, south or north? I don't remember which one.
Vinay Prabhu's friend, Venkat Prabhu.
Venkat
Prabhu, Vinay
Yeah.
Prabhu, do one thing, please. If you are in touch with him, convey him how much I loved. He drove. He, you know what he did? He went and asked in one holiday inn that can we come and take prasad, and it was holiday period, so they allowed us. I mean, we were eating idli sambar and fruits and everything. We didn't buy a single cent anything from them. We used their restrooms, we used their chairs, we used the whole facility. So, and I think he drove quite a patch, maybe 1 or 2 hours every time he helped us. Is he still there in that same place?
No, he's in Chicago, Prabhu, right?
Oh, acha.
Yeah, Chicago. Now he's in North Carolina. I think he keeps changing his locations. Yeah. Now,
So if you be in touch with him, please tell him that Shyamananda remembers you, offers you his pranams.
Yes, Prabhu, for sure. He will be very happy. Yes, I'll tell.
Okay. Thank you.
So all of you have a nice rejuvenating festival in New Vrindavan, and hopefully in the next one, I wish I could be there to serve all of you. Thank you all very much. Vancha kalpataru kripa sindhu pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namaha. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Isre Shyamananda Prabhu ki jai.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Is the party still on?
Hare Krishna.
How are you doing, Vinay Prabhuji?
I'm good, Prabhuji. How are you?
I'm good to see you.
How was your booth at Washington Square Park? How did everything go?
It went very well this time, Prabhu. We sold a lot of books and a lot of T-shirts, and yeah, Vishal Prabhu was there the whole day.
Yeah, very bored.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I missed you, Prabhuji.
we made $1,200 in a day, Prabhuji.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, with books and T-shirts.
Yes, books, T-shirts.
Yeah. And that will be going to 26 seconds.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. I mean, if you subtract about $380, we made profit.
Oh.
Because we had to spend money to buy them also. So.
And there were as many stalls as last time too, for
Yes,
the food and the other articles.
The same stalls only, Q&A booth, and yeah, all those booths were there.
Yeah.
Food stalls, everything. So, any luck on the interview side, Prabhuji?
So Prabhu, yeah, I have given few interviews waiting for their results, and
Okay.
some are still going on. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah. Hopefully something.
Yes, definitely something will work out. Yeah. Okay. Let's all take rest.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hari
Thank you
Bol.
so much. Hari Hari Bol.